I have a firm belief that when you're, let's say, outgrowing or growing apart or growing in different directions, whatever it is, realigning, becoming more aligned, whatever the phrase is, I think that's a really good thing because that's something that probably should have happened sooner. You just might not have had the courage to do it. I think that's a good thing. I don't think that's a bad thing.
In order to keep relationships in your life, you will sometimes inflate their value and deflate your value in order to make it work. Unconsciously.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another episode of Next Level University, where we help you level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. Today, for episode number 1869, an important thing to know about boundaries. So I said to Alan, I said, I have an idea for today's episode. I follow the wonderful Tori Aletto. She has been on the podcast 2 or 3 times. When she was doing her podcast, we were producing it. She's spoken at an event that we hosted. We went to see her in person. Just a great human. Wonderful human being. She did a post.
Huge fan.
Huge fan.
Shout out to Tori. Sweetheart.
Just as awesome behind the scenes as she is in front of the scenes.
I coached Tori for a time. It was wonderful.
Yes. She's a wonderful person.
I wish we could still coach her.
Call her up. Give her a buzz.
I'll have to. I haven't reached out in a long time.
Sa, dude. It's Alan. How are you living?
It's your boy.
It's your boy.
How is
Jeff.
you? Yeah, I think I pushed her to work way harder, and she is in a family time season.
Yeah, well, going back to the previous episode, you were like, hey, grind your face off. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do this.
Let's grind our face off.
Okay.
She put up a quote.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, Alan, that would be a really cool episode if we looked at the quote and then we talked about it, because Tori knows a ton. And she's extremely intelligent. She has a really good perspective, and she has a way with words. And yeah, of all the guests, I mean, we've had some amazing guests on in the past. She was definitely one of my favorite. And I even respected her more when we met her behind the scenes. So this was the quote. And her handle is @NYTherapist. I want to make sure I give credit. Maybe it's not the actual boundary setting you are struggling with. Maybe it's facing what may be revealed in the relationship when you start fully showing up. Alan, when I read that to Alan, he said, what would you say are some examples of that? And I said, well, I think going back to the previous episode, the last thing you want to do is get a boost of confidence, a boost of self-belief, a boost of self-worth, and say, you know what? I'm gonna stand up for myself. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it this time. I got this. You do it, and then the response from the person that you stand up to makes you have to reevaluate the entire relationship. So if I said to Alan, hey man, I know we're supposed to record tonight, but I have blank. Like she's having a rough day, or there's family stuff going on. I'm not going to be able to do it. Can we meet tomorrow at 9 a.m.? Alan would say yes, 99.999 times out of 100, unless there was something else and we'd do a different time. But if Alan said, dude, honestly, the podcast matters more than the family, everything would change. Dude.
How, when I coach a lot of business owners, blah, 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 that's awesome. Congratulations, Alan. My point is most of...
You're the best.
Yeah, thank you. I also coach Dory. Alan, just whatever.
You coach
Here's
me
the deal.
As well?
Yeah, I coach Kev. I coach everybody. It's great. No, but the point is everyone's so afraid to get a business partner. This is why. Dude,
yeah.
Can you imagine a world where I would say that shit?
No, but I know you. And similar core values, similar core beliefs, similar core aspirations. We value things similarly. So no, I would never worry about that.
That's awesome.
Never. I worried about, there was a time where I was like, I'd stopped, I wasn't smoking weed for a long time, and I started smoking weed again, and I was like, I can't tell Alan. Alan's going to think I'm a burnout. He's going to think I'm going off the rails.
He's out here burning.
And then Alan was like, dude, whatever, man.
Yeah, you do you, man.
What do you think I care?
I'm all about personal choices.
Well,
you do you.
Now, I respect that.
Do I think that's the best thing in the world for you if you do it daily? No, but you do you, man. Of course.
Yeah, man. I can't imagine being somebody who the person you're attracted to is against your parents' desires or beliefs or wishes. Like that, if you come out, that potentially might wreck the relationship. Again, that's not a boundary. That's more like you as a human being and your desires and your needs.
Yeah, but it's the same. It's a similar concept.
I think it's stay misaligned
versus
stay misaligned and keep the relationship versus get aligned and risk the relationship.
Yeah, man. Did that for way too long.
It's wild. But it's understandable.
Have you ever done that? I did that.
I'm sure.
Way more than I'm proud of, for sure.
I'm sure I did. I'm sure I did. I don't think it's a through line. I don't think it's something
using coconut oil on my lips.
Okay.
And instead of chapstick.
Yeah.
Not working, man.
What does that mean?
My lips are just ripping.
They're ripping.
Chapped lips every fall, man. Every fall I get chapped
Interesting.
lips. Yeah, but anyways, I've done that more than I'm proud of. What were you saying?
Something valuable, super valuable. And then you had to bring in today's sponsor, Jeff's coconut oil for lips, and it doesn't work, obviously. What was it like when you were doing? Like, what was the internal dialogue when you wanted to set a boundary?
Yeah, so 14 years old, stepfather leaves, takes his whole family with him. We don't really associate with my birth father's side, the McCorkles, as much because we were trying to be the Lazaroses. My real last name is McCorkle for the newer listeners. And then that same year, my mom gets in a fight with her my aunt Sandy, her sister Sandy, and we get kind of ostracized from that side of the family too. And to this day, I've only ever seen 2 of them. So abandonment issues were there unconsciously, and I did not realize that. And a good metaphor for this would be Good Will Hunting, which he just surrounds himself with people that maybe aren't what's best for him, but they're very loyal. And I feel like I did a lot of that and sort of shrunk myself to fit. It's almost like I would rather be lesser me and not abandoned than all of me and quote unquote abandoned. But none of that was conscious. I did not realize that was driving. But of course. I mean, the scaffolding of my entire existence fell out from under me at 14. Yeah. And my trauma response to that was somehow aim higher, work harder, get smarter, and basically don't lose anyone. Try your best not to lose friends. Try your best not to lose family. Try your best to be what people need. And I think that a lot of people who have struggled with any abandonment issues, they probably resonate pretty deeply with that. Maybe not to the same extreme, but I remember when we came back from an event, Kevin was flying high, feeling good about himself. And I started crying, saying, don't leave. It's over. We're screwed. And I remember my intuition just knew you got cocky. And if you get cocky now, I mean, we're screwed because that was way back then. And we were 1/1000th of what we are.
Yeah, but it was easier to be cocky back then. Life has humbled me too many times since then. There's very little of that left.
Because when you get cocky, and I basically am like, oh, but I didn't realize. Anytime a friend ever got cocky, I knew that was kind of the end because growth stopped. And that's intimate relationships too. For those of you out there who, I'm going to say this and I have the courage to say this. For those of you out there who resonate with outgrowing people, I have huge goals and dreams and I have to grow to achieve them. And not everyone has big goals and dreams. And if you don't have big goals and dreams, you don't need high standards. If you don't have high standards, you probably won't face as much mirrors or feedback, and you won't grow as much. And so the outgrowing people thing definitely caused me to not set boundaries because I wanted to keep, unconsciously, I was more afraid of abandonment than I was of anything else.
I think of this whole thing, you know me, I like to think of things visually. I think of this whole thing as, imagine that you work with 10 people that you like. You like them a lot. You have respect for them. You hang out with them. They're friends. Somebody stole something from the work. Let's say there's a tip jar and all the money in the tip jar disappeared. There's $260 in there. 2 thoughts. 1, we want to figure out who did it because that's everybody's money and we're all missing out from that. Part 1. Part 2, I would really hate to imagine that somebody I care for could actually do that.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that there might be some people out there that would say, honestly, I'm not even going to bring it up. I wouldn't even bring that up. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but I can imagine. I think this is one of the reasons it's so hard to become an adult, because when you become an adult, I think you naturally look at your parents differently because you're more aware. And that's not about boundaries, but that's about, do you delude yourself into thinking that your childhood was sunshine and rainbows when it wasn't? Do you delude yourself into thinking that your childhood was terrible when it wasn't, hypothetically? And maybe delude's not the best word for that because there's layers to that, but that's another
It goes
reason.
back to what we talked about in the last episode, which was inflate, deflate, or omit. There is tons of psychological research around cognitive distortions that you can research this. And I've studied different modalities of therapy. I have a therapist named Carol, and ultimately this is a coaching, self-improvement podcast. We are not therapists, Kevin and I. However, we have both done therapy and we understand a lot of it. And a lot of the stuff I do in coaching intimate couples is actually very therapy-based. But I'm a coach because legally I need to make sure that's very clear.
I coach podcasters. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Okay.
Just disclaimer. Nice. We're good. We're in the clear now. Okay.
Next Level Nation, what is happening? If you've thought to yourself, I want to try coaching, but you don't really know where to start, group coaching would be a wonderful place for you. That's really why we created it in the first place. We start a new round every 90 days. So if you're hearing this, go to the website, nextleveluniverse.com, and we have the landing page where you can actually hold your spot right now. Even if there's a group going on right now, you can still lock your spot for the next one. The biggest thing that we've seen is as we get closer and closer to the date, unfortunately, some people end up missing. The group fills up and they can't do it, and then they end up regretting that. So please head over to the website. The link will be in the show notes, and we would love to see you there.
This cognitive distortion, Emilia, to make it very practical, she said, you keep deleting files. You delete files about other people so that you don't see them accurately, so that you can keep them in your life. And I'm going to give an example. So I had one friend way back who literally broke into cars on the sides of the road and just stole stuff. And the worst part about it is a bunch of people thought it was funny. Stole a bunch of stuff. And I would unconsciously delete those files. And it's not until my 30s that I started looking back going, why was I ever friends with him? He's kind of a shithead, to be honest. And not only that, but, some of my other people from my past. And then you start to see the truth. You really start to see the truth because this is very researched too. If you do grow up in a really challenging environment where there's a lot of really negative things happening, stuff like that. Granted, I cheated on tests in high school. I cheated on my vocab tests. I stole from Target once. Like, I'm not perfect either. No one is. However, in order to keep relationships in your life, you will sometimes inflate their value and deflate your value in order to make it work, unconsciously. And there's a lot you can research around this, so look up cognitive distortion, and you can go down the rabbit hole of it. But ultimately, what Emilia has helped me understand, and Carol, my therapist, is that I cognitively distort the truth in order to see people better than they are so that I can keep a relationship with them so that I don't get abandoned. And I stopped doing that, by the way, which is also why I don't really have a lot of friends anymore. And the truth of the matter is there are no good people or bad people. There's a spectrum. And I aspire to hang around people that are very, very in integrity and that don't steal stuff out of cars. And that's just my own true standard. I don't ever want to, like, if I'm going to be the best version of me, I need to surround myself with the best people. And believe it or not, some people are really shitty people. They just are. And if you are naive to that, you will learn the hard way that that's just the case. So you have to be discerning. What's the difference between a mansion and a shack, right? And ultimately, I used to surround myself with shacks and convince myself they were mansions. And I am done with that. Pardon my French.
Gets fired up.
It's a very important topic. And
It's fired up on a Monday.
If I swore in front of anyone's children, I apologize.
Dear young NLU listeners, Alan apologizes for dropping the F-bomb right in front of you. I remember I told you, I remember I said, hey man, many of these friends, and I don't think you'd mind me saying, if bringing this up, if you do, just let me know. Yeah. I remember saying, most of these friendships aren't going to last because you're not going to be the same person that you pretended to be before.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's just a dynamic. The relationship was built on misalignment. So as you become, I've never been able to explain this, but I have a firm belief that when you're, let's say, outgrowing or growing apart or growing in different directions, whatever it is, realigning, becoming more aligned, whatever the phrase is, I think that's a really good thing because that's something that probably should have happened sooner. You just might not have had the courage to do it. I think that's a good thing. I don't think that's a bad thing. Somebody commented on one of my TikTok videos where I brought that up. They said, I don't think that's, it seems negative. Like you're wishing the best for someone even though, but they're not in your life anymore. It's like, no, I realize that if you, okay, just like I shouldn't have to pretend not to like self-improvement, I don't want somebody to have to pretend to like self-improvement. If you don't like self-improvement, it's okay. If you don't like self-improvement and if you don't like fitness and if you're not somebody who wants to improve and you're not focused on your character and this and this and this, we're probably not going to work out anyway. So let's not pretend because that's doing both of us a disservice, not just me and not just you. Rational. I'm very rational when it comes to relationships.
Which is surprising considering it, and I know we got to jump soon, but you also dealt with abandonment when your dad left. Yeah. But your reaction to that abandonment was the polar opposite of mine. So mine was what's known as an anxious attachment style and trying to belong, trying to create belonging so that there's no abandonment. And yours was what? Disassociate and just be okay with abandonment, basically.
Be careful with... But even that, I don't know. Because it's not like I was protecting my heart. It's not like you couldn't get close to me. Like, that's never been a thing for me. I get very close to people. I love that. I'm just not, I think I mourn it in advance. I mourn the loss of somebody long before they go. I think that's probably what it is.
Well, it's also easy to see from the outside in. So you look at me and my friend group back then and you go, there's no way.
Yeah.
And that's obvious to me with you or to...
But what if I knew that about you because I knew that about me? And you're just a more extreme example of me. I knew that about me. I've been saying that for a long time. I'm going to have I'll have a couple really close friends and then that'll be it. I really won't spend time with other people.
So I playfully share with NLU team members, I playfully say, and there's some truth to it, which is why I say it playfully, is like, once you come on the NLU team, you're going to lose all your friends. And I'm playfully joking. But the truth is, very few people are into self-improvement, and you're at a company that focuses on growth and self-improvement and personal development pretty much every day. And so you're going to become exponentially more different. That's a mathematical fact. And that's going to be harder and harder and harder to go back to old persons, places, things, and ideas. And Kev's, wait, you don't have to lose all your friends. No. I'm being playful. That's why I say it tongue-in-cheek. However, I don't think you can grow physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. I don't think you can grow a ton and not lose relationships. At least they have to evolve. They have to change. If I suddenly decide I'm going to be a pro skier, my relationship with Kev has to change drastically. We can't be business partners anymore. NLU has to change, and somehow we have to ski while self-improving.
That might be the thing.
That might be it. There it is.
It's what we're missing.
We gotta go live by the mountain. Kev, you gotta come with. Yeah, there you go.
Love it.
But my relationship with Kev has to change. My relationship with every NLU team member has to change. My relationship. I don't think people understand this, and I certainly understand why, because I didn't either in the past. Relationships are a byproduct of goals and core values. If you meet someone at a wedding, it's because you both knew that couple. It's not because you both were meant to meet. And I have one client who really wants to meet her dream partner. And I said, you're going to meet her or him on the mission. Just stay on the mission. Stay in your purpose. Stay in your calling. Stay in your passions. You love self-improvement books. You're much more likely to meet your person in the self-improvement section of a bookstore than out at the club.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you can't at the club. I'm just saying play the numbers. So to me, I met Emilia on the mission. And that's why it's worked so well. And you and I don't even know why we worked, but now in hindsight, it's obvious. Same core wound, both have low self-worth, both love bodybuilding and self-improvement, love deep conversations, both grew up without fathers, both were raised by 2 women. So in hindsight, it's obvious why this has worked. And we're not entitled, and we both have ridiculously high work ethic.
Well, my biggest fear is being left behind. Your biggest fear was leaving people behind. It makes sense. It's like,
worked perfectly.
Good luck.
It's still working.
You think you're going to leave me behind? Good luck. I'm going to chase you. I will chase you as far as you go, sir. You're not leaving me behind. You're my meal ticket. You're my way out. But I'm going to earn it, right? I'm going to earn it.
That's
all right, we got to go.
It's really good.
Because you have a coaching call. But this was good. I enjoyed this very much. I would like to do, again, I don't know. I'm not going to say it'll be a series, but.
Shout out to Tori.
Shout out to Tori. Tori's wonderful. Give her a follow at NYTherapist on Instagram. Great content, great person. Again, we attach ourselves to very few humans, but Tori is someone that, if you follow Tori, you're going to get a ton of value, and you're going to get a lot of truth too, though. Just disclaimer, you're going to get a lot of truth. She gives a lot of, her posts are very, like, you're going to look at yourself in the mirror after this.
Yeah, and your relationship.
And your relationship. All right, Next Level Nation is the place for you if you are looking for growth-minded human beings. Book club is every Saturday, 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. They are reading Identity Shift by Anthony Trucks right now, so you can join that and do something today that you're going to be proud of later. A little something there, a little extra something there at the end. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we don't have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Lean into courage. Next Level Nation.